You know how some days just drift by soft and forgettable like a quiet stream. Then certain days mark you, resonating deep within, not for the obvious events, but for the profound currents stirring below. Mark this: June 27, 2025 isn't merely another date to circle, it's a pivotal point set to distinguish the conscious from the unaware, the aimless from those on their true journey. When the divine declared, a total shift occurs June 27, this wasn't for casual talk, it wasn't to spark alarm or fleeting thrills, it was a hallowed, quiet signal meant only for souls who've nurtured the profound stillness needed to perceive it. The planet is awash with clamor. Constantly you're hit by voices, directives on your identity, what to dread, what to pursue. The external environment yanks you every which way, diverting your attention from the singular path that counts, your inner one. So many individuals chase after overt signs. They anticipate something theatrical, something loud, something absolutely clear. At times, the universe stirs in the pause between your ideas. Sometimes it communicates when all else grows quiet. The subtle cue before the upheaval isn't a threat, it's a chance. Yet only those who have conditioned their senses, their core, and their awareness to identify the ring of truth will grasp what's presented. A subtle signal isn't registered by ears, it's perceived through heightened consciousness. To sense it, you must clear out the internal static, the anxieties, the ego, the desires. The reason a majority won't grasp the meaning of June 27 is their preoccupation with finding what they wish to hear, instead of readying themselves to accept what is genuine. Understand this: when you are brimming with biases, you cannot absorb true insight. When you are packed with expectations, you fail to see the unforeseen. This is precisely why masters, seers, and focused individuals train in quiet eyes that only in receptivity can divine understanding flow. A specific readiness must develop in quiet. Much like a plant readies itself through bleak winter for spring's full bloom, your essence must prepare in stillness for your awakening moment. Numerous people imagine change strikes like a thunderbolt. But genuine transformation, the type that reshapes your spirit, starts well before any surface indications. It commences when you heed the faint stirrings within you, when your routines start to alter, when your focus sharpens, when you consciously pick serenity over discord, self-control over ease, mindfulness over diversion. These are not coincidental actions, they are indicators that your internal world is starting to answer a more profound summons. And what is that summons? It's the soft voice of your destiny, the voice urging you: get ready, find your center, purify. It isn't yelling, because loudness is for the uninitiated, quiet cues are for the deserving. When a dedicated practitioner trains, they are not looking for cheers or recognition, they are preparing quietly for a trial no one else anticipates. The same holds for your spiritual development. You are being readied for a major change. And this change will not make headlines, it will not plead for your attention, it will not seek your okay. It will just materialize, and upon arrival, it will not favor the boisterous or the arrogant, it will uplift the prepared. Picture a performer who has honed their craft for ages, practicing daily in solitude. The instant they hit the stage, observers call them gifted, but unseen are the years of silent dedication. This mirrors the soul's journey. When June 27 comes, people will observe and question why some appear to ascend with insight, calm, and fortitude, while many others descend into disarray, dread, and angst. The explanation is straightforward: those who perceived the subtle cue before the upheaval were already living authentically. They didn't require external validation to awaken, their awakening was internal. Society often demands evidence before it accepts, yet the spiritual journey isn't about passive waiting, it's about active becoming. If you consistently wait for indicators, you will never embody the indication yourself. The divine doesn't send you a message to remain idle, it sends you a communication so you might rise, so you might take action, so you might shed false selves, misleading attachments, empty ambitions. The quiet cue before the upheaval is divine compassion. It is the chance to get ready before the change becomes apparent. You don't require a cataclysm to trust, you only need to sense the draw in your core and act on it. This is why inner quiet is precious, not for its tranquility, but because it lets you hear what is inaudible to the common senses. Certain truths are only grasped by a calm heart. And so, you must train yourself not in how loudly you can articulate, but in how profoundly you can listen. You have to ask: when society speaks, do you merely react, or do you pause to reflect? When unease surfaces, do you flee, or do you center your breath? When the masses surge one way, do you conform, or do you stand firm and question the motive? Those who perceive the quiet cue know that living isn't about reacting, it's about responding. But you cannot respond with insight if you haven't first trained in quietude. Many individuals exist in a state of perpetual reaction. Their feelings dictate their actions, their anxieties obscure their vision, their dependencies bind them, and when the upheaval hits, they're thrust into alarm. They wonder, Why was I not told this was approaching? But the reality is, the divine did communicate, it spoke softly, and they were too caught up to perceive. Self-discipline is the honing of your awareness. It's not about self-reproach, it is about attaining clarity. The reason a true warrior trains daily isn't because conflict is certain, but because readiness is an integral part of life. If you delay preparing your spirit until the world is in chaos, you've delayed too long. Your readiness starts this instant in your morning routine. How you interact with people, how you allocate your moments, how you select your thoughts. These actions appear minor, yet they are the foundation stones of your inner sanctuary. And when the gales of transformation arrive, only sanctuaries founded on truth will endure. The quiet queue before the upheaval also examines your humility. Numerous individuals believe they are prepared due to their knowledge, but knowledge without application is a type of conceit. You might understand many principles, but do you embody them? You might discuss insight, but do you live with wholeness? The quiet queue is not for the intellect, it is for the spirit. And the spirit accepts only what it is humble enough to embrace. You must relinquish the urge to be noticed, the compulsion to be correct, the hunger for accolades. All these create internal static, and static obscures truth. When June 27 comes, the world will witness what was concealed. But those who have trained in quietude will not be taken aback. They will not descend into panic, they will simply inhale and keep moving. How? Because their path isn't dictated by external indicators but by internal consistency. Their fortitude doesn't stem from assurance but from self-discipline. Their tranquility doesn't arise from a lack of challenges but from the existence of their purpose. And this is what the quiet queue has always concerned, your purpose. The divine doesn't summon you for amusement, it summons you for spiritual growth. But growth demands you release what is no longer beneficial. Many request change while still clutching the outdated. They desire transformation yet resist sacrificing comfort. You cannot ascend if you are weighed down. The quiet queue invites you to let go, release the dread, the self-blame, the disgrace, the old narratives. Only then can you become light enough to ascend. So, listen not just with your physical ears but with your entire being. Observe not just with your physical eyes but with your full awareness. Navigate not by external appearances but by internal alignment. If you sense that inner drawing, that feeling that something is changing, that something is on the verge of being unveiled, do not disregard it. Do not put it off. Start this moment. Reconnect with your breath. Reconnect with self-discipline. Reconnect with genuineness. The quiet queue before the upheaval is not an external thing you pursue, it is an internal state you become. And those who embody it will not dread the upheaval, they will navigate through it as if it were a soft current, because they've already been propelled by a mightier force. The force of the divine. Genuine readiness doesn't commence when society perceives the threat, it commences when the soul registers the change, and what the unpracticed perception cannot detect, the trained spirit has already sensed. There's a vast difference between reacting to circumstances and aligning with life's flow. When an individual lives by reaction, they are perpetually lagging, constantly seeking steadiness, always disoriented when alterations occur. But when an individual lives in alignment, they are rarely caught off guard. They might not know specifics, but they've already been alerted through intuition, through visions, through an inner disquiet. That restlessness you've been sensing, the premonition that something significant is approaching, something immense, something outside your influence, that is not mere worry, that is your preparation. That is your spirit quietly saying, it's time to get set. What unfolds on 27/2025 is not an isolated occurrence, it is a coming together, a focusing of energies, outcomes, verities, and disclosures that have been accumulating for ages. The world might respond as if it were unexpected, but the insightful understand this change has been developing for a considerable time. The spiritual principles are never postponed. Every decision made, every aim established, every repeated behavior has been noted. The cosmos has never been dormant. You might not have observed the scales shifting, but they have consistently been adjusting. And the balance tips on hallowed days, not because the divine seeks to penalize, but because the principles must be honored. What you sow, you reap. What you permit, you embody. What you get ready for, you navigate successfully. Readiness is not a single act, it is a way of living. Those who are spiritually resilient on June 27 will not be individuals who awaken that day and impulsively opt for change. It will be those who have consistently walked the long, often unseen journey of inner cultivation, those who have managed their thoughts when unobserved, those who remained compassionate even when society was harsh, those who preserved their inner light when negativity offered solace. These are the souls who have been getting ready not from fear, but from knowing. They understood that when the wind changes direction, your footing must already be secure. You cannot be figuring out how to stand firm while the tempest is raging, you must already be anchored. And how do you get ready? Not by amassing possessions, but by letting them go. Not by constructing external defenses, but by fortifying your internal essence. Many are rushing collectively. They accumulate riches, connections, social standing, praise. But what is the genuine worth of these? When the planet's frequency elevates, what will you do with your accolades if your own spirit feels burdened? You cannot escape spiritual gravity. When the earth rises, only those with unburdened hearts will ascend with it. You must release bitterness, let go of resentment, and heal old wounds. This is the true readiness. This is the necessary purification, because when the energetic curtain lifts, and it surely will, everything concealed will be brought to light. You cannot feign tranquility. You cannot simulate self-discipline. You cannot pretend alignment. On that specific day, your energetic signature will resonate more powerfully than your statements. The world will react. It consistently does. It reacts to major news. It reacts to emergencies. It reacts to fear. But the spirit doesn't react. The spirit prepares. The spirit comprehends that timing isn't governed by clocks, but by resonance. When the divine stated everything shifts, it wasn't talking about your schedule. It was referring to your soul's unfolding. There are phases in your existence you don't select. They select you. And this approaching phase is not for dreaming. It is for doing. It is not for the mind that merely wishes. It is for the soul that acts. You must inquire, am I still finding justifications? Am I still awaiting approval? Am I still resisting truth? Because the period for deliberation has concluded, the period for action is upon you. Readiness manifests differently for each person. For some, it will involve at last choosing stillness over excessive stimulation. For others, it will mean confronting pain they've long suppressed. For some, it's about severing connections with what has been sapping their vitality. For others, it is about extending forgiveness for what appeared unforgivable. These are not trivial deeds. These are internal revolutions. These are the actions that construct the kind of inner resilience that doesn't crumble when the external world starts to change, and it will change. Not to frighten you, not to shatter you, but to reveal your true self. Because all hidden things will come to the surface. And when that unveiling occurs, you will observe two kinds of people, those utterly unnerved by the truth and those who have trained in truth. When a plant begins to grow, it doesn't lament for sunshine, it trusts its development is part of a natural order. It doesn't fight the soil, it accepts the darkness knowing light is inevitable. Similarly, your preparation has been occurring quietly. Perhaps you couldn't articulate why you felt altered. Perhaps your patterns have been shifting. Maybe you've lost attraction to superficial interactions. Maybe you've stepped back from drama, noise, and arguments. This is not by chance. This is spiritual attunement. This is the core of you answering the imminent change. It's as if your soul is already getting its affairs in order for a voyage your intellect doesn't completely grasp. That is perfectly fine. Let your soul guide. Let your mind learn to follow. Many will attempt to get ready at the very end. They will hastily try to absorb wisdom, rush to mend flawed habits, scramble to feel secure. But you cannot fast-track alignment. You cannot instantly achieve mastery. You cannot download self-discipline. These qualities are developed over considerable time. And if you have already commenced this journey, even if you feel quite imperfect, recognize this: you are moving ahead of the current. Continue onward. Continue building. Because the energy of the new era cannot be sustained by a self that resists transformation. The shift isn't concerned with who you feign to be, it is solely concerned with who you authentically are. And that authenticity is either liberated or it is confined. The preparation is the process of liberating it. Every true warrior hones their skills well before any confrontation, not from apprehension, but from a sense of honor. The spiritual warrior doesn't await external cues to become serious. They are perpetually ready, not because they desire conflict, but because genuine peace demands inner strength. On June 27, the equilibrium of strength and peace will face a test. Those lacking inner peace will be swamped by the intensity. Those lacking strength will be immobilized by the rapid change. And so, you must train right now. Train your thoughts to maintain quiet. Train your emotions to react with composure. Train your body to uphold discipline. Train your spirit to believe in the unseen. Discard the notion that you possess more time. Time isn't guaranteed, but being present is accessible, and in presence, all things become achievable. Your future isn't waiting for you to merely wish, it is waiting for you to take action. You don't need flawlessness, you only need to be fully present. And from that presence, you must build the practices that sustain your vitality, build the limits that safeguard your calm, build the routines that stir your awareness. These are the very components of the foundation you will depend on when everything starts to transform. And what about those who disregard the summons? What of those who deride the quiet cue? Who state, nothing significant will occur, it's merely another day? These are the individuals who will be utterly stunned. not because they weren't alerted, but because they elected not to listen. Ignoring reality does not shield you from truth, it only postpones your readiness. And when truth manifests, it doesn't inquire if you are prepared, it simply reveals itself. If you have trained, you will perceive it as a guide. If you have not, you will perceive it as a danger. This isn't a punitive act from the divine, it is the consequence of your own opposition. So, prepare not with dread, but with deep respect. Prepare not because calamity is imminent, but because an awakening is on its way. Prepare not for society's reaction, but for your soul's own unfolding. There is an elegance that emerges when you are truly ready. There is a potency that ignites when you achieve alignment. There is a serenity that takes root when you let go. And this serenity is not located in the external commotion, it is located in your consistent practice, in your conscious breathing, in your cultivated stillness, in your cherished silence. Do not scan the outer world for indicators of security. Security is not external, it resides within your inner landscape. It is in how you handle turmoil. It is in how you engage with others when unobserved. It is in the choices you make when it would be simpler to stay unaware. Every action you take today shapes your response to tomorrow's trial. Every instance you opt to rise with self-discipline readies you to rise in vital energy. Each time you decline what depletes you, you affirm what prepares you. There are two approaches to meet June 2070, with astonishment or with assurance. The first results in bewilderment, the second results in lucidity. And lucidity doesn't stem from predicting the future, it stems from preparing your presence. The energetic signature of that day is already drawing near. The current is intensifying. You may not perceive it with your physical eyes, but your spirit can undoubtedly sense it. Value that sensation. Do not try to suppress it. Do not divert yourself from it. Allow it to guide you to your personal training. Allow it to draw you further into your practice. Allow it to serve as a reminder. What you cultivate in quiet is never for nothing. It is accumulated, it is registered, it is amplified. And when the world starts to tremble, you will remain steady because you were not waiting for the world to inform you of what was coming. You had already begun. You were not reacting, you were prepared. You were not searching for safety, you were embodying it. A profound misconception exists in contemporary society about how genuine transformation unfolds. Many think that desiring change suffices, that forming intentions is adequate, that announcing aims, noting them down, reciting affirmations, that all this somehow compels the universe to act. But the sacred principles don't yield to intention, they yield to alignment. Energy doesn't trail what you long for, it trails who you are. When the divine indicated everything transforms on June 27, 2025, it wasn't a communication for those who merely hope. It was a beacon for those who have brought themselves into alignment with truth, in thought, in word, in deed. The error many commit is to believe that clarity of wish equates to readiness of existence. But the universe, the divine, the way, it attends not to your superficial desires, but to the energetic frequency you emit. You can desire peace yet inhabit turmoil. You can desire prosperity yet operate from fear. You can desire transformation but reject discipline. This is the fundamental disconnect. This is why the divine's quiet cue is only perceived by those whose daily routines, internal conversations, and unspoken aims are harmonized into a single frequency. That frequency isn't achieved by thought alone, it is uncovered through genuine alignment. Alignment is not pretending, it is not striving to appear spiritual. It is not about the outward observances you conduct for others. True alignment is unseen by the world but absolutely clear to the universe. You cannot deceive energy. You cannot counterfeit resonance. You either vibrate at the level of authenticity or you do not. And when that energetic gateway opens on June 27, 2025, it will not consider what you aim to become. It will only magnify what you already embody. That is the ultimate spiritual reality. Energy magnifies alignment, not mere words. Your energetic presence will be the crucial factor. The caliber of your inner existence will be the standard. This is why readiness is not about more talk, it is about more being. If you claim to want peace but consistently opt for conflict, you are misaligned. If you claim readiness for abundance but exist in a mindset of lack, you are misaligned. If you claim to be a light bearer but engage in gossip, complaint, and bitterness, you are misaligned. These are not trivial issues, these are spiritual incongruities. And when divine energy suffuses the planet, it seeks coherence. It favors those who are integrated. It elevates those who are genuine, not flawless, but genuine. The world applauds the loud, the driven, the refined. But the divine uplifts the sincere, the aligned, the quietly disciplined. A sacred principle is active here. Thought plus word plus action results in vibration. If your thoughts declare, "I trust," but your words are laced with uncertainty and your actions are tentative, your vibration is one of confusion. If your thoughts declare, "I am prepared," but your words are reactive and your actions are erratic, your vibration is one of dissonance. And regardless of how frequently you state your intentions, no matter how elegantly you record them, if your very being is fragmented, your energy will stay out of sync with the approaching shift. And when energy doesn't match the prevailing current, it gets left out. The planet isn't just changing on an intellectual level, it is rising vibrationally. The transformations ahead are not set to favor the astute, they will favor the aligned. This is why so many individuals who appear ready externally will find themselves disoriented, while those who have quietly undertaken the inner work will rise with effortless grace. There is a velocity to spiritual energy that only the still core can manage. There is a frequency so elevated that only the truly humble can connect with it. And on June 27, when this frequency strengthens, your degree of alignment will not be something you can adjust or manage. It will be fully revealed. Many will experience this as an intense pressure. They will feel utterly exposed. Because when the vibration of truth elevates, anything inauthentic is compelled to surface. This is the sacred examination, and it is not judged on display but on purity. It will not inquire how many volumes you read, it will inquire, did you integrate what you discovered? It will not inquire how many admirers you amassed, it will inquire, how many times did you remain true to your principles when unobserved? It will not inquire how loud was your pronouncement, it will inquire, how tranquil was your mind? Alignment is subtle, but its consequences are profound. 3 supports build true alignment: integrity, discipline, and surrender. Integrity signifies you live authentically even when it challenges your comfort. You reject what compromises your soul, even if it satisfies others. You honor your commitments not just to others, but importantly to yourself. Discipline signifies you perform what is necessary, not what feels pleasant in the instant. You awaken early when your physical self desires rest. You breathe through irritation instead of lashing out. You train your emotions, your concentration, and your energy consistently, and surrender signifies you relinquish control not from inadequacy but from deep trust. You cease trying to engineer results. You cease imposing your schedule. You align with the divine current and move with it, even when it defies your logical understanding. Most individuals attempt to manipulate energy. They try to push their way into higher states of being. But force invariably generates resistance, flow generates concord. You must learn to embody the space where energy moves without obstruction. You must clear out impediments, ego, fear, resentment, comparison, impatience. These things diminish your vibration, and when the world's frequency alters, diminished energy falters. But when you are in alignment, you are like a perfectly tuned instrument, devoid of ego, pure in purpose, and ready to be animated by the divine essence. A sacred rhythm is progressing, and just as a plant blossoms in its due season, so too does the soul. But you cannot accelerate your blossoming, you must nourish your foundations. Your foundations are your discipline. Your foundations are your quietude. Your foundations are your choices in the hidden moments. What you practice when no one observes dictates your readiness for when everyone observes. And on June 27, the light will not merely illuminate the earth, it will shine through you or make plain your unpreparedness. There will be no in-between. Energy does not accept partial truths. It either moves through clarity or halts at distortion. That is why this very moment, this present, is your proving ground, not some future time, not when you believe you are ready. Now, because the principle is clear, you ascend to the level of your alignment, not your wishes. You gain according to your readiness, not your pronouncements. And you will be assessed not by what you articulate, but by who you have cultivated yourself to be. You must inquire, have I cultivated the kind of person who can bear this subsequent level of truth, power? Or am I still expecting the external world to shift while I stay unchanged? You are not awaiting energy, energy is awaiting you. The divine current has perpetually been flowing. The query is, can you contain it? Are you a suitable vessel, or are you still squandering your power through unmindful habits, divided focus, and emotional reactivity? Your capacity to contain energy reflects your spiritual development, and spiritual development isn't about chronology, it is about awareness, about responsibility, about selecting evolution over ego time and again, even when it is difficult, especially when it is difficult. On June 27, the divine rhythm will intensify. Some will ascend because their internal framework is robust. Others will falter because their base was constructed on fallacy. You must construct your inner sanctuary now, not with physical materials, but with conscious breath, not with abstract ideas, but with deliberate actions. You must cleanse the perceptions of your mind. You must purify the depths of your soul. You must open the gateways of your heart to welcome illumination. Because energy, sacred, divine, and genuine, does not inhabit chaos, it inhabits order. Not the order of rigid control, but the order of harmonious alignment. This alignment demands honesty, unflinching, compassionate honesty. You must examine your life and inquire, where am I still dissonant with truth? Where am I still feigning? Where am I still prioritizing comfort over true growth? The responses will not consistently be agreeable, but they will liberate you. You cannot mend what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot align with what you resist confronting. But when you do, when you perceive yourself without illusion and cherish yourself sufficiently to transform, the universe reorients in your favor. Not because it is granting you a boon, but because you have finally become resonant with its inherent rhythm. And this is the ultimate insight. Alignment is not a state you attain once, it is something you return to repeatedly. Each instant offers a chance to return, each breath is a portal back to full presence. Each choice is an occasion to fine-tune yourself like a precise instrument. And just like a musical instrument, you don't tune it one time and then neglect it, you must tune it daily with diligence, with focus, with awareness. Because the melody you create, the existence you live, hinges on your tuning. When the hallowed day arrives, the world will not alter you, it will show you. The surge of energy will not establish your alignment, it will amplify it. And so, the most vital work you can undertake is not to merely hope, not to succumb to fear, but to align, not in concept but in consistent practice, not for external validation but for inner truth, not to create an impression, but to genuinely express, not from apprehension of what's to come, but from deep reverence for the present. Because ultimately, it will not be your ambitions that see you through the upheaval, it will be your grounded presence. It will be your inner quiet. It will be your profound alignment